Mr. Speaker, I share a vision for Jamaica, where entertainment, culture, and sport content becomes our largest foreign exchange earners, where Jamaica becomes a destination of choice for ICT outsourcing for the United States, where, like Blue Mountain Coffee, Jamaica attains world-leading status in exotic flavors and spices, where we provide health tourism joint venturing with Cuba to provide the most desired retirement villages, where we train Jamaicans in higher-paying jobs for the export market, in addition to the traditional farm work cards, so that remittances can double, where UWI, UTEC, Northern Caribbean University become the training center for the Caribbean, where we would reduce our energy dependence on imported oil, and where, Mr. Speaker, every single young person entering the workforce has a choice of 3 jobs, and not what currently exists today. But, Mr. Speaker, talking about the problems will not engage our youth population. There needs to be tangible incentives that orient this population towards our national priorities. Our tourism industry has developed and continues to compete internationally because it has incentives: tax-free incomes, tax-free imports, access to concessionary funding, and an entire ministry devoted to fostering and developing it. But, Mr. Speaker, in this global economy, we have to pick winners, things that have the best competitive advantage. But once we pick them, we have to channel our youth population into these industries by offering incentives and priority for government benefits. In our system today, the primary goal of any young graduate is to get a high starting paying salary. It is 95% guaranteed that he or she will be working for a foreign exchange consuming company rather than a foreign exchange earning company. The government needs to offer specific incentives to direct the graduate towards export-driven industries, and all nationally funded programs should be directed to achieve these objectives. For example, with the Youth Entrepreneurship Program recently announced by the Prime Minister, apiculture, ornamental fish farming, and agro-processing meet these objectives, and I really want to applaud the Prime Minister for the YEP program. But, Mr. Speaker, alternative projects must also focus on graphic design and web design services. They must have incubators for e-services, creation of nursing home for overseas person and tourism services, all of which will earn foreign exchange. So, Mr. Speaker, while we continue the YEP program, we have to have an overall direction for the use of these resources. Some of the possible incentives, and clearly details of these incentives would have to be worked out, but some possible incentives for our young people entering foreign exchange industries would be income tax exemptions for employees up to the age of 25, and also persons who work in these industries that deposit a predetermined amount of foreign exchange to the Bank of Jamaica. Another incentive could be that the NHT could give a 2% interest rate reduction for persons employed in foreign exchange industries. Another incentive, Mr. Speaker, would be to provide work-study grants for persons under 30 who are working in these industries. Mr. Speaker, we need to advocate a new way of thinking. We need to sensitize our youth to get their participation. We need measurable goals and objectives with a collective responsibility to achieve and sustain them. We need to seriously develop agriculture, culture, sport, and information as major industries in export for wealth creation for our youth to drive the economy for the next 10 years. We need, Mr. Speaker, to engage the nation in solutions rather than rephrase the problem every single budget year. Having identified and agreed on some of these objectives that support a common vision, our greatest obstacle, Mr. Speaker, towards achieving this is the current state of our educational system. We face a serious dilemma towards achieving this as our collective skill set is dying. The figures representing the past 2 decades demonstrate an alarming trend. That is, of the average, say, 45,000 persons that are born every year, by the end of their high school cycle, only 15% have been making it through the formal education system with successful exam results, while the remaining 85% have either dropped out, did not get exam passes for them to matriculate into tertiary level institutions, or have become parents. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, we're replacing those who died with those who have no replaceable skills. The recent World Bank study, as we all know, indicates that two-thirds of our workforce, labor force, is functionally illiterate. Our training system is not equipping us for the jobs of the future or for the productive survival in the present. Jamaica has lagged behind in the production of exportable manufactured goods to the US and our Caribbean neighbors. We cannot afford to once again be left behind in the technological wave towards prosperity. The PMP laid the foundation in recognizing the importance of telecoms as one of the future pathways to wealth creation, whereby mobile penetration is now 96%. However, for us to leverage the overseas commercial markets using the internet, our broadband connectivity has to significantly increase from 3.4%. I wish to commend the Honorable Minister of Information and Telecommunications for recognizing the continuing importance of this industry by inviting both myself and the member from East Kingston to collectively work towards strengthening it. Mr. Speaker, the importance of education and training of our youth in competing in the technological age cannot be understated. We need a non-partisan approach to investing in the future of our young people. I want to remind the government of the plea I made last year for the unattached youth, and one of my proposals for additional youth centers, as they could be used as an effective tool to prepare our youth for these industries. However, I'm disappointed to learn that the 5 additional centers announced last year have yet to be built. I resubmit that proposal, Minister, and I anticipate its prioritization in this financial year. Mr. Speaker, on our quest to become a AAA rated country, boy, you see, I sit here and progress is now being made. Mr. Speaker, on our quest to become the AAA rated country, our export earnings must significantly exceed our import earnings. But we must give our youth the opportunities to create wealth. In 2008, we imported some $8.5 billion worth of goods, of which fuel was $3.3 billion. And our exports were only $2.7 billion. Our largest foreign exchange earnings are already in the service sector, that is both tourism and remittances. Therefore, in addition to entertainment, culture and sport content are also in the service sector, and these can be easily understood. Our Jamaicans have tremendous talent and motivation in these areas. However, we need a proper industrial policy for sports, entertainment, and culture that seeks to use our advances in technology and information to broadcast our talent to the rest of the world and market Jamaica as a #1 sporting event and entertainment destination in the Caribbean. Sports, for example, Mr. Speaker, its value to the Americans